Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Afternoon for me, morning for probably everyone else by the time this video gets uploaded. But since today is my birthday, I decided to do something really special. And I originally got this idea from one of my friends, Horror Aesthetics, on here, where I'm going to show off basically my entire movie collection. And I'll admit it's not much. Like, everything I got is in here just to conserve space. But I got the idea from her trying to do it because when she did her own video, it looked very fun. So I'm not sure how long it's gonna take, but here we go. Alright, so first up, we got like all the Child's Play movies, like the original 1988 classic, Child's Play 2, 3, Bride of Chucky, Seed, Curse, Cult, the Child's Play remake, and we also have Chucky Season 1, both discs on Blu-ray. So, what I'm trying to do here is I tried to keep everything organized, and so far I think I did a pretty good job on it. Where I just have like the Chucky series in there. I mean, as you can see, I got the Friday the 13th series over here. We'll get back to that one in a minute. But it's kind of funny because I actually had to rearrange this library like quite a bit, especially when the remake and the Chucky series came out. And I'm probably going to have to do it again once Season 2 eventually comes out on DVD and Blu-ray. I'm hoping that we get either a Season 3 or a new movie, but at the time of this recording, and I actually checked it earlier this morning, so far it has not been renewed for a third season. Which, I mean, I already did a breakdown of the entire season back when the finale came out, and if it doesn't get renewed, I won't be surprised, but if that happens, I hope that they do at least one more film to just wrap everything up. So next up, we got the Friday the 13th series, the original movie and the uncut edition. Friday the 13th Part 2, Friday Part 3 and in 3D, Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Oh, funny thing about Part 3, the 3D part, is I actually bought a set of 3D glasses just to watch this. Now, I got the 3D glasses off of Amazon, and they were like those like retro 1980s 3D glasses that are like made of paper. I think that it technically worked, but I can't quite remember. I only tried using them once. Heck, I think I might actually have them in one of my drawers. I stand corrected. Anyway, but I find it funny that like that I end up getting Part 3 in the 3D edition. So, including that is Friday the 13th, the final chapter, Part 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that was the whole, I think, Friday the 13th collection that was sold at, I believe, Best Buy or Walmart. And they only include the movies that came out with and that were released by Paramount. And then unfortunately I had to buy the New Line Cinema movies separately on Amazon, which unfortunately these ones are not on Blu-ray. So unfortunately I think the only TV in my house that I can watch it from is that one over there, that Polaroid right over there. And then I also had to get Freddy vs. Jason and Friday the 13th separately. I can't remember if I have it in here. No, I don't. But originally there was a triple pack of Freddy vs. Jason, Friday the 13th, the remake, and The Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake, which I'm assuming that I ended up putting the Nightmare on Elm Street remake like somewhere later in this pile. Because next up is the Saw films, Now, the original collection that I got was the one that included the first movie, Saws 2 and 3, Saw, um, Saw 4, 5, 6, and 7, which was supposed to be the final chapter until they made Jigsaw. Um, I got Jigsaw on both 4K Ultra and Blu-ray, and I also got Spiral from the Book of Saw, both on DVD and Blu-ray. Um, Jigsaw and Spiral, I ended up getting those ones separately. I'm probably gonna end up getting Saw X separate whenever that movie comes out. From what I heard, Amanda Young might be coming back, which I don't really care. I just want Jigsaw to return, like the actual Jigsaw to open Bell. So I don't know. I'm probably gonna end up having to rearrange my library again. Oh, quick side note though. The Chucky series, Friday the 13th, and Saw franchises, like those are the only three series that I've like binged watched, start to finish in like a single day, and like I've actually taken days off work before just to finish the whole Child's Play franchise, except for the remake and the TV show, the entire Friday the 13th series, and the Saw series before Spiral came out. I don't think I'm going to binge them again with the newer movies, unless if they make like more and more installments, and I'm deciding like, you know what, screw it, I'll take a day out of work just to do that. I don't know. Next, I got like the Rob Zombie movies, House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's The Devil's Rejects, Three from Hell, as well as the documentary making of The Devil's Rejects. Unfortunately, all of these came out on DVD. I was really hoping on finding them on Blu-ray, but I don't know. I guess they didn't sell them from where I had them. Next is The Prodigy, which I ended up getting this movie because I always saw it like as an alternate version of Child's Play, where instead of like voodoo, like the killer uses reincarnation to possess a little boy. And I honestly, and like this movie was like originally the thing that made me believe that like once Chucky possesses a body in the Child's Play series, that the soul of the original person is still trapped inside there, because in the Prodigy movie, like the child, I think his name was Miles, he was still in his body for like years until it finally kind of got destroyed because the soul of the serial killer became too powerful. But I don't know, it was a fun little film, a little bit unique. But aside from that whole premise and the thing that made me think of Child's Play, I think it probably would have been forgettable. Next on this list is Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, which I think one of these days I'll have to revisit this and find a home for it next to the actual DC DC movies. But I thought this was a pretty good film. I think it was a solid finish to the animated DC movies before we got the newer slate of like Superman, Man of Tomorrow, Batman: The Long Halloween, that kind of stuff. And well, Constantine's always great, and it was nice that Matt Ryan came back to play him. Next we got John Wick, both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. I swear I have John Wick Chapter 3, but I might have given that one to my dad for Father's Day or his birthday. I can't remember. But Both movies are solid films. I'm glad I have them both on Blu-ray and on like regular DVD. After that, we got like the Kingsman movies, like the Secret Service, the Golden Circle, which is for some reason the only one that I have on both DVD and Blu-ray. And then we have the King's Man, the prequel that's set during World War One. Pretty solid films. Um, I might one day like binge all three of these movies. In fact, I might also binge like all three John Wick films if I can find Chapter 3 again. Next, we got like basically the DC slate. Got the Dark Knight Rises, Blu-ray, DVD, and special features. I can't remember where I got this one or even if I bought it myself, but I think another member of my family has the original Dark Knight, and I think my parents have Batman Begins, so I have the Dark Knight Rises. But it's a pretty solid film. I honestly like Christian Bale's Batman, but I don't know. I think it takes a lot of time for me to dislike Batman character. Coming up right after that is like the Batman v Superman films. Oh, sorry, film. Because I got the Blu-ray, the Ultimate Edition, the original version, and the regular Dawn of Justice DVD. I thought this film was pretty good, or at least the action I thought was alright. I remember watching the Ultimate Edition, and even after they added about an hour into the film, I still didn't fully understand like what it was they were trying to accomplish, because it still felt a little bit convoluted. But I don't know, maybe that was just me. I ended up getting Suicide Squad. I think I got Suicide Squad for Christmas. The Christmas year that came out. I honestly thought it was okay, but I mean, like it takes a lot for me to like actually dislike a film. I mean, I do understand that like there's some people who won't like it, but oh well. Next we got like the original Justice League Dark. And like again, like I said, Matt Ryan was great to come back as John Constantine. It was a pretty cool story with the Justice League Dark finding Dr. Destiny, well, just called Destiny in the movie. Next is Constantine City of Demons. One of my favorite animated DC movies, mostly because like I mean Constantine is awesome, and like it was like a full-on hard R-rated like it was like an actual animated DC horror film. Like not like Justice League Dark, the original one. Like that one just felt like pretty watered down. Like City of Demons, like that one had actual like blood and gore and all that crap. After that is Batman Hush, which I kind of liked the movie except for the ending where like Hush is the Riddler. I mean, I know they did something similar in the actual comic, but I would have preferred like the actual Hush to be like Hush in the movie. And I think I remember hearing someone say like, well, they couldn't really do that because like they couldn't really introduce like a completely new character, except the comic completely introduced the new character. And as a matter of fact, they did the same thing with Gotham by Gaslight. I don't know if they have that. I don't know if I have that movie in this library or not, but I'll come back to it if I do. But I don't know. If not for Riddler being Hush, this easily would have been like my top 10. And right after that is like the live action Joker movie. One of my favorite movies, well, DC movies at least. I thought that whole thing about like people thinking that it was going to incite violence and shootings, like it was blown completely out of proportion, especially by the media. I remember seeing somebody comment that like it was almost like they were wishing for it to happen, because like, I mean, nothing happened. Like I pulled up to a movie theater, to the movie theater that I watched this in, and there was a cop car parked right next to the entrance. I don't know. I just think that like people are quick to accusations these days, just to put it lightly. Next up, I got the Spider-Man movies, both No Way Home, and I believe this one is Homecoming. I don't have Far From Home, um, which I think that Homecoming was just an impulse buy at the time. No Way Home, like, I mean, obviously I got that one because like I actually did want to see it. Uh, Deadpool 2. Actually, I gotta see. I think I still have to watch like the 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 super duper cut as it's called. Because if there's a lot more stuff in it, I honestly can't remember it. I think someone tried telling me that like I have the original Deadpool, but I don't think I do. So one day I'll have to go and get that. After that one, I got like the Batman the Killing Joke movie. I honestly kind of like this one. Like, it did what it set out to do, where it tried to do like basically a one-for-one comic adaptation, and I thought it did a pretty good job of it. I didn't really care about like that first half hour or whatever, where Batman and Batgirl have sex. I don't really care about that, but I feel like they probably could have released the movie as basically like an extended episode of like Batman the Animated Series, like like a much darker version of it. I don't know, but that's just me, I guess. Then we got the Wolverine. I kind of like. I actually liked this movie. I get that some people didn't, but I did. I mean, I don't really. I mean, I'm not really a fan of. I'm not a fan of the Silver Samurai, so like, I didn't really cry that bad over him. But I did like that the Wolverine movie like kind of tried to be a little bit more gritty, and like that was kind of like a precursor to this next movie, Logan, which I wish I got this on Blu-ray. I don't know why I didn't, but oh well. But this one is a fantastic film. This is the movie that they should have used to close out the X-Men franchise, and it's a shame that they didn't, because now they kind of left the franchise with a bad taste in everyone's mouths with Dark Phoenix and the New Mutants, which they didn't even, as far as I remember, I don't think they even released it to theaters. But I don't know, I could be wrong on that. Right under that is the Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day, the director's cut. I originally wanted to give that one to my dad for Father's Day, but when I asked him like if he ever wanted to see it, he said no because he's a huge fan of the original. And after they killed off Rocco, and like they kind of closed out the movie on a pretty high note, like he just felt like it wouldn't be worth seeing it. So I don't know. I get that, and I do like the original one way better. Like I even watched it on St. Patrick's Day last year, but I don't know. I still liked the second movie. Uh, Continuing on with the superhero films is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Um, I actually only saw this once in the theater, and I only got the disc just because, like, I'm a big fan of Sam Raimi. He's one of the directors that I really like him, Rob Zombie, uh, Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, those guys. But I don't know. I felt like Multiverse of Madness was just a huge letdown. Like, for one, I feel like the main villain should have actually been Chthon, where if you've read the comics, he's the demon who gave Scarlet Witch her power, and he ends up possessing her in the comics. But instead, what the movie tries to do is like they make they tried to say that like Wanda isn't a villain, even though like she basically commits genocide in the first half hour. I don't know. And I get that they also tried to sympathize Thanos, but people still knew that what he was doing was wrong, and like they weren't trying to defend him, you know. But anyway, just aside from that whole thing entirely, like for a movie called Multiverse of Madness, like we only see 3 different worlds, like excluding that 1 minute segment where Doctor Strange and America Chavez are like going through like all the different dimensions, and like it's literally split second after split second. Like they only go to one different world with the Illuminati, where you get all the cameos like Professor X and all those guys, and then you go to one world with the Sinister Strange guy, and that's it. We only see 2 different universes aside from the main Earth that the MCU heroes are on. And then there's the fact that this movie was billed as like the first MCU horror movie, but it doesn't have nearly enough horror that you'd expect uh, from a director like Sam Raimi. Like that scene in Spider-Man 2 with Dr. Octopus in the hospital was way more horrific than than almost everything that you see in this movie. And I don't know, it just felt like a big letdown, but unfortunately, because of how much of a Sam Raimi fan I am, like I just can't bring myself to dislike this film. Like it's all right, but it's still one of the more disappointing movies that I've seen in the last few years, which is sad. But right under that is The Goonies. I think I got this one. I think this was actually the first movie that I was personally given as a Christmas gift by my family. I could also be wrong on that, but it's like the first one that I can remember. Great classic movie about like a bunch of misfits like finding treasure. But I haven't seen this one in years, and I don't know. Maybe I should. Right here is Scooby-Doo Returns to Zombie Island. I remember watching the original movie, like, way back at my grandparents' house, and, like, I'll be honest, that movie actually scared me with how, like, real the zombies were, that, like, they weren't just bad guys in masks, like, they were actual supernatural zombies, and, like, I'll be honest, that actually scared me a bit. So, when I heard that they were doing a sequel to it, I was actually pretty pumped up for it. And even when like they were showing the artwork and the trailers of the zombies having like those cartoonish eyes instead of like the yellow glowing ones, I still held out hope that the movie was going to be good. And my God, was I wrong. Like it was a pretty fun innocent kids film, but it definitely wasn't what I was hoping it would be. Because like not only are the zombies not real in this film, but they basically undo everything that happened in the original film, where they try to rewrite that movie and saying like, oh, they were bad guys anyway. And even so, they still do a cop out where like one of the cat creatures at the very end of the film, like they never caught that one. So they're saying like, okay, maybe this one is real after all. So I don't know. The movie, like, as much kiddie fun as it was, like, still felt like a mess. Oh, and there's an empty spot that I'm gonna have to fill at some point. Next on this page is like the Ted movies, both the first and the second, which I have the unrated versions of both. I find it a little bit funny that the original Ted, like, I don't have it as unrated, but for Ted 2, for the original DVD, it is. I don't know, but it's a great comedy. I think there was a friend of mine or whoever like who originally got those movies like from their relatives because they thought like, oh, it's a talking bear, it'll be a fun family movie. But it's still hilarious. Like if I'm ever feeling down like on a weekend or whatever, like I'll just pop that in and just have a good laugh. Next up is the Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge, Battle of the Realms, Snowblind. I actually just did a review of, sort of a review of Snowblind, where I kind of talk about how, like, after Scorpion's Revenge, um, like, the movies seem to be, like, cramming whatever they could in, like, the next movies, like Battle of the Realms, Snowblind. I'll probably link that video down below, like, when I eventually get to my computer, because, like, um, because currently at the time of, like, this being uploaded, like, I'm most likely gonna be out of town and away from my desk. But basically, like, I talked about how, like, Battle of the Realms, they crammed in a bunch of stuff from Mortal Kombat 2, 3, 4, and X, and then Snowblind was mostly an original story, but still, like, shoehorned in parts of Mortal Kombat 11 at the very end of the film. Which, the movies were great, but sometimes you just gotta step back and think narratively, like, it probably wasn't all that good, which is sad. All right, back on track with, like, with all the, with at least trying to be organized. I got all the Halloween films, which this is sort of unorganized, but it's still there. Uh, I'm actually gonna rearrange this stuff right now. So I got the original Halloween film, and 35th anniversary at that. Below that is Halloween 2, and now above here is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I'll be honest, I actually have not seen Halloween 2 or 3 yet. But the funny thing is about that is I actually got, shit, I'm moving this over here. So I actually got Halloween 2 and 3 as, like, a double feature. And I was at my local Dollar General, just looking around for stuff. And I actually found these two movies, like, tucked away behind these, like, Thanksgiving or Christmas ornaments or something like that. And, like, this was just last month, too. So, I don't know, maybe I'll watch, like, all three of these movies next Halloween or something. I don't know, but if I do, like, maybe I'll review, like, the original trilogy, if you want to call it that. But anyway, I still need to see 2 and 3. Rob Zombie's Halloween films. I'll be honest, like, I'm sorry, but these are the ones that I keep coming back to. Like, I'm sorry, but like I said earlier, Rob Zombie's one of my favorite directors. I know that people don't like his movies, but what can I say? I do. Like, I just recently watched his Monsters film, and just like Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island, I think it's a harmless kids film. But I saw Rob Zombie's Halloween movies. And like I said, I loved them. It's funny that I got, like, Halloween and Halloween 2, the theatrical edition too, as a double feature, and then I got the Halloween the unrated cut, I think at the bargain bin or something. Which, funny thing is, like, the default menu settings for this film is in Spanish, which I honestly thought for a second that would mean that, like, if I popped it in, it'll just go straight to, like, Spanish language. But thankfully, that wasn't the case. But anyway, it's funny because I actually tried rewatching the unrated Halloween just the other day on my Xbox, and I already know that my Xbox for some reason did this thing where the Blu-ray player won't play regular DVDs, and it actually played this movie for a solid 5 minutes until it realized, like, oh, it's a DVD, I can't play it. Which, as stupid as it is, it's still kind of funny. But anyway, so enough about the Rob Zombie films. And then the only other Halloween films that I have are the 2018 reboot, I guess you could call it, which I consider it to be the Force Awakens of the franchise, because it's basically like a rebooted version of the original film. right? With some new characters, a legacy character who, interestingly enough, doesn't die. And then Halloween Kills is like, it's the last Jedi of the franchise. It is. Like, they basically throw caution to the wind in the movie. Like, both movies even have a character say, like, it's not about you. Well, okay, sorry. In Halloween Kills, Frank Hawkins, the guy who should have died in the 2018 film, just from like the repeated stabbing to the neck alone, and then getting run over by a car, but somehow he's still alive. He says to Laurie like, "Oh, Michael's not after you. It's not about you." And then in the Last Jedi, Kylo Ren says to Rey, like, "Oh, your parents are nobody. You're a nobody." Okay, fine. So, as frustrating as Halloween Kills was, though, like, I mean, as frustrating as like the new Halloween movies are, like, I mean, I'm still gonna watch them over the Star Wars films any day of the week. I mean, put it this way, like, I have these Halloween films. I don't have the Star Wars sequels. Just to put that in perspective, even though I do think that Halloween Ends is basically the Rise of Skywalker, which, again, I'll probably link these reviews down in the description because like, I go on a pretty big rant over kills and ends. Right after that, speaking of Halloween, I got Batman: The Long Halloween Part 1. Uh, I don't know if I'm gonna get The Long Halloween Part 2 because technically I have it. I just bought it on YouTube. I don't know. If I find out that there's anything else that's part of it, I might get it or not. I don't know. Right after that is the Death in the Family interactive movie, which is basically like a choose your own adventure. Um, I, I mean, it was fun. It was an interesting version of the movie, but I don't know. Um, I got the original Top Gun. Great film, by the way. I actually watched this one for the first time a few days before I saw Top Gun Maverick. I don't think I have Maverick though, which I'll have to get. Right under that is Father Stew. Great movie. It's one of the few like religious films that I actually enjoy. Like I was raised a Catholic, but I don't really like the Christian movies like God's Not Dead and all that. It just feels too preachy, you know. But this one, like, it feels like there was actually like love put into it, because like I think it was a passion project of Mark Wahlberg's, and like, well, I mean, his character of Father Stuart Long like was actually relatable, you know, like he knew what it was like to like spend a few nights in jail, like he knew what it was like to like be beaten down, like unlike I'm sorry, like kids who are told to write God's Not Dead, like yeah, that sucks, but in the grand scheme of things, which I mean, yes, that does kind of impede on the freedom of religion part, but compared to Father Stew, like I mean, the stakes were like more low scale. At least that's how I saw it. Next here, I got the Justice League movies, both the original and the Snyder Cut. Now, the only reason why I have the original is because it was suggested by my parents to watch the original before I saw the Snyder Cut, because like then I'll know exactly how much better it is. So I did, and like the Snyder Cut is way better. I mean, I honestly didn't mind Justice League, but I do see why a lot of people don't like it. But the Snyder Cut, that one was fantastic. Next up, I got the James Bond series, which I think my brother actually got me the series for like on our last birthday or last Christmas. Well, those two are like actually very close, so it was probably for both. But I ended up seeing like Casino Royale, Quantum Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and I believe I got No Time to Die separately on my own. Which I remember seeing Casino Royale and Quantum Solace on Netflix. I think Skyfall and Spectre Uh, when I got the discs were the first time I saw them, and then No Time to Die I saw them in the theater because I decided to see them with my grandparents because this was actually a few days after I saw Halloween Kills, and I actually made a post about No Time to Die because I got too lazy because I didn't want to do an actual review of it, but I don't know. I ended up doing a post where I thought it was fine. Like I didn't really see any of the woke agenda as some people called it. I mean, because James Bond was still treated with respect. I do feel like they probably could have figured out something instead of just killing him off. Like they probably could have used something to neutralize the poison that was in his body. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not the filmmakers. Next up is 1917. Fantastic movie. Yes, there are some plot holes, which I ended up seeing that one with my entire family, and we all loved it. On our way home, though, we did cite a few plot holes, such as that one field that the main character and his battle buddy or partner or whatever that they crash in and that one German soldier also crashed in. We thought it was a little bit weird that apparently there was an entire platoon of other British soldiers who were basically on the other side of the barn and they weren't there, but I don't know, whatever. It was still a fantastic movie where just the way that they shot it to make it look like one long take is just awesome in general. I mean, I know that there were a lot of hidden cuts in it, like zooming in or shifting the camera away from the actors, but it was still a fantastic film. I'm so glad I got to see it in theaters. After that is the Suicide Squad film, which, you know what? Let's see here. Where is the other Suicide Squad? Here it is. So what we are going to do is we are going to make a trade where Deathstroke, which, by the way, this was also a pretty disappointing film for me. I think it just came down to the animation. It just looked too weird to me. It looked like a Flash game that I used to play back when I was a really little kid. I don't know. I don't know. I just think it could have gone better, and the whole plot was centered around Jericho and Hive, which I would have preferred it to be about Deathstroke as a mercenary, but that's just me. Let's see here. Alright, so until I think of a better spot for this, Deathstroke Knights and Dragons is going here. Okay, so the Suicide Squad films, like I said, I kind of enjoyed this one. I did. The Suicide Squad, the James Gunn movie. I thought that one was pretty good too. I didn't really care. I honestly did not care for Starro being the main villain because I thought just took the groundedness away from it. But maybe that's just me. Next up is Constantine: House of Mystery. This was a pretty solid flick. I'm not a fan of Constantine's new look in the film. His face just looks too long, and his trench coat looks too short. It's kind of weird, but whatever. Etrigan the Demon shows up in this. He just looks way too, I guess what's the word, animated. And same with Nergal, who was also in City of Demons. He shows up as well. And he just looks like not as detailed, you know? And like I think this is supposed to be the bridge between like Apocalypse War and like the new continuity that's in the Superman Man of Tomorrow movie. But I don't know. I'd kind of. I mean, I kind of like to see where it kind of heads. But I'm still not a fan of what Constantine looks like in the film. I don't know. After that was a triple pack that I got, including Zero Dark 30, which I liked the film. Which, interestingly enough, I saw this movie like so back when my family took that trip to Pennsylvania, which was the same trip where I got like the Star Wars Splinter of the Mind's Eye book and the Rainbow Six novel. Um, my dad, brother, and I, we went to the 9/11 Memorial Museum, and we saw this film about like the raid and the raid and like elimination of Osama bin Laden. And I think I ended up seeing this movie after we got home from Pennsylvania, and I was stunned with how like detailed that whole scene was about like where they basically go and raid Bin Laden's compound and like kill him, and like it was almost like beat for beat exactly what that short film was in the 9/11 museum, straight down to one of the soldiers like calling out for Bin Laden's kids' names and then like just popping a cap in their heads. Black Hawk Down, I've seen like once or twice. The first time was way back in middle school because like it was like a historical film. I believe my school at the time, like they sent out these permission slips for us to see the movie since like it was rated R, and the people who couldn't get the slip signed, they'd see like I believe the movie's called 42 about Jackie Robinson. But we ended up seeing Black Hawk Down, and the first time I saw it, like I didn't really understand a lot of it. Like the only parts that I really remember remember the most were like the beginning and the middle part were basically I think they had to open somebody's chest or whatever. But I just felt the film was like too dark and like not very like narrative wise. Like visually it was too dark in some parts, and like we were watching it in like a really dark gymnasium, right? And I just didn't understand what was going on. And then right next to it is the movie Fury. I have still not seen this film. I'll have to watch it at some point. But I do remember one of my family members saying like it's a little bit weird that they include Fury in this because apparently Fury's out of the three movies that the pack came in, Fury's the only one that's fictional. Like Zero Dark 30 and Black Hawk Down, like it's a historical movie, and like I wouldn't even call it like historical fiction because it pays like very close attention to the actual events. But apparently Fury's the fictional one. Anyway, after that I got the original Avengers movie. I believe I also got this one for Christmas. Fantastic film all around. I might or might not get Infinity War and Endgame. I don't know at this point, but if I do, great. After that, I got Patriot Games, which I think I bought this one just on a whim, especially because like there was a 4K of it. But this film was great. Honestly, out of the Jack Ryan movies, is actually one of my favorites because like this was the first one that Harrison Ford was in, and Sean Bean was the villain, and like this one was a more personal story for Jack Ryan. Like, so I've seen The Hunt for October, Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger. I actually saw that one twice, which is my second favorite out of them, and I saw The Sum of All Fears, which I consider The Sum of All Fears to be the worst one. Mostly because Ben Affleck is in it, and I'm sorry, but I feel like the 2000s era for Ben Affleck was like the worst era of movies for him, because like I believe The Sum of All Fears came out the exact same year that Daredevil did, and that movie was god awful. And I don't know, I just feel like those movies were just terrible. Fast forward to like the 2010s, and like you got Ben Affleck playing like Batman, you got him playing the that one guy named Wolf in The Accountant, and I don't know. Out of out of movie resurgences, I think that guy also had a pretty good run, at least like for his little redemption in film. Like people talk about stuff like Ryan Reynolds, Robert Downey Jr., but I think people overlooked Ben Affleck a bit. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Like Patriot Games, honestly, favorite Jack Ryan film, and the second favorite is obviously Clear and Present Danger. Like just on the basis of the fact that it's like a political thriller, and about how like it's basically about how like the president can't be above the law, and before and like I don't know if anyone's gonna be talking about politics or anything, but like I'm talking about like both sides of the argument right now. Next up is like It Chapter 1, I believe. I'm probably not gonna get It Chapter 2 because like I was a little bit let down by that one, just from the sheer fact that like there was so much humor in it, and like that's not to say that can't have humor in it. Like they had the comedian Bill Hader playing Richie Tozier, but that one makes sense because Richie was supposed to be like the goofball comedian. Like he's a comedian in the novel, but like that one makes sense. Now all of the other humor in both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, I just felt like it didn't fit. Like there's a scene in Chapter 2 where Eddie Kasperick, which I think is played by Jason Rambone or Ransone or whatever his name is, he starts choking out Pennywise when he's like a leper, and like it's actually a pretty cool moment where like he makes Pennywise feel afraid, and then Pennywise just barfs up this black goop, and like they're playing that one song Angel in the Morning where it goes like just call me Angel or something like that, sung by Celine Dion, where like they use that in the Deadpool 2 trailer, and I don't know what the filmmakers were smoking to make them decide like, hey, we should put this into our actual horror movie. I don't know. In a scene that's supposed to be scary. But I don't know, that Chapter 2 was a bit of a letdown. Chapter 1 was alright. Oh, and here's my Nightmare on Elm Street remake, because I couldn't really find a place for it back when I had my Friday the 13th series back there. I honestly thought this movie was okay. I don't really mind. Hello, what is this? Okay, I don't know if that's an intentional scratch on the disc or what, but anyway. I honestly didn't mind the movie. I didn't really mind the fact that they made Freddy Krueger a pedophile in this film, because like he already had like implications that he was a pedo in like the original series, especially Freddy vs. Jason. Like I don't know, I thought it was okay. What I didn't like, however, was the fact that they were playing around with like, oh, Freddy might have been innocent. That part I think was just stupid. I don't. But aside from all that, I think it was okay. Uh, Jackie Earle Haley, I think he did a pretty good job as Freddy Krueger. I mean, like, obviously no one was gonna top Robert Englund, and I think he knew that, so he tried to do like something a little bit more gritty and different. Um, the other the other actors like Rooney Mara as Nancy, Kyle Gallagher, I think his name was, playing Quinn, who was basically like that version's movie of Johnny Depp. Um, and then like Katie Cassidy as Chris, who was supposed to be like the first victim. Well, a replay of the first victim from the original film. I think she did all right for whatever kind of little screen time she had before, and this was before she signed on for to Arrow. But I honestly thought this movie was all right. Oh, and you had Clancy Brown in the movie too, so that was pretty cool. Next up is like the Evil Dead movies. I believe I got the original film and Evil Dead 2 as like a double feature. Now, the original movie, great. I actually saw this one for the first time on Netflix, and I think it was actually pegged with the unrated version on Netflix, which yeah, I was cool with. Evil Dead 2, also a fantastic movie. Those two films were great. Army of Darkness was also pretty good in my opinion. I don't think I have Army of Darkness. Nope, I don't. But I don't know. At some point, I'll probably have to track down a copy of it because I really want that. Next up is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it's one of the 30th anniversary films. I think. No, it came out in 70, 72, 73, 74. One of those years. But I have one. I got this as like a collector's edition. And like originally I had a steelbook of it, but me being a dumbass, I tossed that to conserve space in here. But I did end up taking a picture of the steelbook, and I actually used that as part of like a project in one of my photography classes back in college, where like I purposely made it look like ghoulish and stuff, and well, my teacher at least understood what I was going for because, like, it's a horror movie. Right after that, I got like the Batman movies. I'm sorry, the Batman movie, the one with Robert Pattinson. I got like the Blu-ray, DVD, and special features. I still gotta watch the special features part, but I thought the movie was very good. There were a couple parts that I didn't really care for, but it's still a fantastic film. Like Robert Pattinson was great. What's her name? Zoe Kravitz was awesome. Was pretty good as Catwoman. Jeffrey Wright was a great James Gordon. Riddler, I honestly thought that Riddler was pretty good. Like it's a different version of the Riddler, but it's still pretty cool. I can't wait to see their version of the Joker. Like actually like do stuff in the next film. I did hear that like the villain for the next movie might be Hush, which I'd be down for that. I wouldn't mind it. But even if this is just a one-off, it's still a fantastic film. Next up is like VFW. This one I got like just because like, I mean I like Martin Cove. I'm a pretty big fan of the Karate Kid movies. Well, okay, that's a lie. I've only seen the first one and the next Karate Kid, but I'm a pretty big fan of Cobra Kai. In fact, I actually got, I believe, the first 2 seasons a little bit later in this series. Holy cow, there's still quite a bit. But anyway, VFW was a pretty cool kind of film about like basically like veterans hanging out like in a bar and they have to fight off like this gang of like basically crackheads or something like that. I don't know, they're drug addicts, but they have to fight off those guys. Aside from Martin Cove, there's Stephen Lang, who was in the Don't Breathe series. William Sadler, I think his name is, who I remember from Iron Man 3 and also The Shawshank Redemption. And for the life of me, I cannot remember who was right next to him, unfortunately. But still a pretty good movie. If you guys ever find the time, like, I highly advise you guys go and check it out. Then we got Black Friday, which great movie. I don't know. I think it's a great movie. Like, it's not trying to be like an Oscar-worthy kind of film. It's just trying to be like a B-movie schlock. Devon Sawa does great, which, I mean, I think I saw this movie right after I saw Chucky Season 1, and I don't know why I haven't heard of this actor before, but he's great in horror films. Like, it doesn't seem to matter like what movie, what horror movie or TV show he's in. He's great in it. I think he's also in another movie called Hunter x Hunter. um, with, interestingly enough, that one child actress who was in Curse of Chucky. Um, I don't know. I thought that was a fun little tidbit. And then, of course, you got Bruce Campbell, who is surprisingly not an Ash Williams type character. He's more of a coward in this film, which I think I read somewhere that he didn't want to be like the typecast, like badass character. So, I don't know. For him playing a different kind of character, it's pretty cool. And then you got Michael J. White, who basically is the badass character, which I remember seeing him in like Spawn and Arrow. I think he was also in recently like Batman Soul of the Dragon, where he basically played the same character, which was still a pretty kind of great movie. But I don't know, still a great movie all around. Up next, I got The Boys TV series, which, oh, that's cool. I got the unrated edition of seasons 1 and 2. Unfortunately, it's all on DVD, so I'll have to again watch it on that TV. Great. But either way, like, I love season 1. I love season 2. I loved season 3. I don't care about the politics. Well, actually, time will tell if that ends up doing anything in season 4. But for the first 3 seasons, it feels like they really tempered back the political messaging. I guess we'll find out in season 4 if they go overboard with it. But oh well. For what it's worth, the series is fantastic. Because like, it's funny because I think the series came out like immediately after Avengers Endgame, where people started feeling like the superhero fatigue, as I believe Marvel was saying. So I think this was a pretty funny answer to that, where like the superheroes are actually like evil people, and like the people who you'd expect to be bad guys are actually like the good guys, trying to technically protect humanity, but like also trying to get revenge. Uh, Next up, we got X and Pearl. I unfortunately did not have a chance to see X in the theater, and I had to get the disc on Amazon, I believe it was. But it's still a great movie. It's basically like a different version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where the killers are all old people. Still a great movie, worth every penny. And I also saw Pearl, which this one I did get to see in the theater, and this was actually kind of the one where I actually like reunited with my friend Horror who we originally knew each other kind of from kindergarten, and by some miracle, like we met again like during the screening of Pearl. I was literally sitting like 2 seats away from her, and we were just joking and laughing throughout the film, and like the whole theater was like laughing with us. I mean, like, just with the fact that it was like a twisted version of The Wizard of Oz, basically. Like, there's a scene where Pearl is like humping a scarecrow, and like we were making jokes about like, oh, where's Toto the dog, or the Tin Man, or the Cowardly Lion, and it's just for that sheer fact that like I got to reunite with an old friend of mine. Uh, this was one of my favorite movie theater experiences. Um, and I can't wait to see the movie Maxine, because like, so the first movie X was basically like a version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Pearl was like a twisted horror version of The Wizard of Oz. I'm interested to see where Maxine goes, and this is where it's gonna go when it eventually comes out. And then like filling these spaces is the Expendables 3. I think I got this one for a bargain price, and that's the reason why I don't have the first 2 films. I could be wrong on that though. Memory's a bit fuzzy. I don't know. It's getting late. Oh, and here's Cobra Kai, which unfortunately Oh, look at that. I also got the unrated versions of Season 1 and Season 2, which I think that's because those came out on YouTube Red. That's how I saw the series originally. I still gotta get Season 3 and Season 4, but I didn't because of how expensive they were at the time. I'll eventually get Season 5 as well, but Season 1 was fantastic. It was a great return to form for the series. Season 2 was, in my opinion, better, just because like they brought back John Kreese, which I already said that I love Martin Cove. Like he's pretty much the main reason why I got VFW back there. But I can't wait to get Season 3 and Season 4. Oh, and here's my Pirates of the Caribbean movies. The Curse of the Black Pearl. I believe this was one of the last movies that I got recently. And the reason why I got it was because I got it on 4K, which the main selling point was that like, oh, it's like the first time that it's been on 4K, so why not? And before I got into horror movies, this was like one of the first franchises that I actually fell in love with. Well, that and Star Wars, but I don't have any of the Star Wars movies in this library, at least as far as I know. But the funny thing is, apparently I originally saw The Curse of the Black Pearl when I was 3 years old, and like I had literally no memory of it. Fast forward like a few years later when I'm like 10 or 12 or something like that, and they're playing like The Curse of the Black Pearl on ABC, and I can't remember if that was when like Disney acquired ABC or not, but either way, they're playing Curse of the Black Pearl right at the moment when like Barbossa's crew is like taking that walk underneath the water, and like you can see their skeletons and everything. And I'll be honest, that part actually freaked me out a little bit for a long time. But still a great film. I'm gonna have to watch this on 4K sometime, but I'm gonna have to find like where I can watch it from, because I'm not sure if my Xbox plays 4K. As far as I know, it only plays Blu-ray. But right after that, I got On Stranger Tides, which at some point I'm gonna have to get Dead Man's Chest and At World's End. And when that happens, I'm gonna move these four movies over here, or I'm gonna have to move Dead Men Tell No Tales over here, which I mean I got a lot of room, so But On Stranger Tides was actually the first one that I got, which I think I got for another Christmas, like a way back. But I thought it was all right. Probably not my favorite in the series, but then again, like I don't really have a ranking for the Pirates movies. I mean, I still thought it was all right. Ian McShane, I thought was great as Blackbeard, and this was before I recognized him in John Wick. So I don't know. The movies were pretty good. Dead Men Tell No Tales. I actually saw this movie twice in the theater. Well, technically twice. The first time was in the theater with my grandparents, and then the second time, I think my family was in Arizona, and we saw it at like one of those drive-in theaters, because like, I mean, I wanted to go to a drive-in theater, like how they used to do like back in the 80s and 90s, but it wasn't exactly the same, because instead of like just playing it out of speakers, like we had to tune into radios to listen to it, which was still pretty cool, and like I still got to see it at a drive-in theater, but I still thought it would have been cool if they actually played it like on speakers. I don't know, but I don't know. Still a great movie. Javier Bardem, like he was great in Dead Men Tell No Tales. It's funny because like on the back of the case, it even mentions how like he was in Skyfall and No Country for Old Men. So I don't know what else I've seen him in, but I think that's it. But anyway, like franchise was great in my opinion. Like after Star Wars, this was the next series that I fell in love with. until like I finally got into like horror films. And I think yeah, that was the last series of movies that I have here. There are a few discs that I have, but like they're not movies, they're video games. Like I got the original Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2 and Republic Commando. These were the first computer game. Well, that's a lie. Sorry, the first computer game I ever had was like based on Toy Story 2, where it has all these mini games. My favorite one was where was like Buzz Lightyear was trapped in the toy store and he's fighting like Zurg and his robots. Um, but after that one, my brother and I also played like the Sum of All Fears video game on my dad's computer, which was kind of what got me into like the whole Jack Ryan series in the first place, even though I didn't see the movies for like nearly a full decade after. And then we finally played Battlefront, Battlefront 2, Republic Commando. All three of these games were great. And at the same time, I think around that same time, like I also ended up getting Batman Arkham City, which, oh man, I don't even know what happened to the first disc. Holy cow! Man, that sucks. I don't think I realized that until now. Damn it. Anyway, but we used to always play these original games, and hell, like when the EA Battlefront games came out, and I found out how crap they were. Like the minute I discovered that the original Battlefront games were released there, like I downloaded those and just started instantly playing those. Same with Republic Commando. I just started playing those on the Xbox as well. I even made a music video with Soldiers by Otherwise back a few years ago. I think it was back in 2018. But anyway, I mean, these are some of the greatest games of my childhood. Batman Arkham City I also played a lot of, and I actually got so close to beating the game, and then my computer just froze up every time I got to the Clayface boss fight. So unfortunately, I never got to finish the game. And then every time I'd restart it, it would always have this weird glitch where, like, at the end of the Ra's al Ghul boss fight, that scene where Ra's holds Talia at knife point, and Batman is supposed to throw away the sword and like pull out the remote controlled batarang. There was this weird glitch where like he doesn't throw away the sword. Like you can move your mouse to look around the whole area with the Lazarus Pit and Rage and Talia and everything, but Batman doesn't throw away the sword, and like I kept on pressing buttons in the hopes that like something would trigger him to do it, but he never would. So I never got a chance to finish Arkham City on my PC. And then when Arkham Origins came out, I freaking wasted $60 on this because it would not let me download the game. And I don't know, I was really bummed about that. And I don't know, at the time I was 13, so this was like 10 years ago. I didn't know much about computers. I didn't know about like RAM space or graphics or anything. So I still don't know if this was the case on like why it didn't work, but I don't know. But I never finished Arkham City on the PC, and I never got to play Arkham Origins on the PC either. Like it wasn't until I think it wasn't until about like a year or two later when I finally got an Xbox that I finally had a chance to actually play and beat Arkham City and actually play Arkham Origins and also play Arkham Asylum too. And thankfully this was around the time that Arkham Knight came out, so everything all worked out at least. But that's the end of the library. Well, that's all the that's all of them that there are at the time of me recording this. Actually, by the time I upload this, it'll be like a few days after when oh, shit. Oh, never mind, the zipper's fine. At the time of me uploading this, this would have actually been like, the time of me uploading will have actually been a few days after recording. So, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna get a few more movies over Christmas weekend. I don't know. But, that's really kind of it for me. And, I don't know, you guys have a Merry Christmas. I do have a few I have at least one video that's scheduled to release on Christmas Day as my little Christmas special. I'm not gonna say what it is, but let's just say it's connected to the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movie. But that's really it. Bye, everyone.